happens every time.
Here we go.
I stall.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan experience.
Yes, thank
Right.
you. I'm in.
We'll edit it in post.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Diesel Diaries. I'm your host, Lori McNaughton, Director of Operations for our Specialized Division. We're here to talk all things trucking and help you navigate the industry one conversation at a time. Our guest today, I have Daniel,
Yes.
specialized driver.
Yes, ma'am.
How long you been with ATS, Daniel?
This go round, I've been with ATS for a year and 4 months.
Okay. And this is your second time back?
Second time. The first time was for 7 months.
Okay. What
But-
brought you back to ATS?
Well, the first go round, the only reason I left was because I was in a Volvo and really poor truck. Like it just constantly stayed in the shop. Out of those 7 months, I was in the shop for 4 months. So I couldn't make any money really. I think my total take home was maybe $3 to $4 grand in that 7 months time. So it was not sustainable.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I
That's
couldn't
brutal.
get into a different kind of truck. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to step away, get out of the lease and do something else. So went to another company and worked for them for a little while. And things were going really well. And then a minor incident happened that while they were on a zero tolerance policy, they decided to let me go, even though I was one of the top earners. And it was something that, could have happened to anyone.
Sure.
It's just one of those minor things. So when I got that news, I called up the recruiters for ATS and they're like, hey man, how you been? You looking to come back? I'm like, yeah, I think I am. So within 10 minutes, I was hired again. I was like, well, you know what? Good to be back. So
Awesome. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. Jacob, you're also a specialized driver.
Yes.
And how long have you been with ATS?
I'm going on about a year and 6 months now.
Okay. So far, so good. Some
Oh.
ups and downs.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. It's to say the least, it's changed my life, especially from working at other companies in the past. So I love it here. It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Who are your guys' DMs?
I got the best one of the bunch. I got Vicky.
Okay.
I had Angie, and she took real good care of me. Now I got Jared.
Okay.
And
And
he's
how's...
been great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I like him.
Yeah.
Vicky, obviously a great DM, long-standing, been here for a very long
23
time.
years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, appreciate you guys coming on today. We'll just keep it light and have a little fun a little later on. Today's National Pie Day.
Of
Did you know
course.
that?
I didn't know that.
I'm a math fan. I mean, come on.
Are you?
Yes.
So can you recite like the 70,000 decimal
No, I
point?
can't do that. I'm not that good.
How about the first couple?
3.14159265.
Okay, better than I would have gotten. Well done, sir. Well done. Bravo. Okay, so because it is National Pie Day, a little later on, I would like to do a little pie tasting if you guys are up for it.
Always.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about pie.
Oh, yeah.
All things pie. Okay, moving along. So really why I had invited you guys to join us today is to talk about just trucking in general and what gets you into trucking. Why do you love it? Why do you keep doing it?
I'll let you start off.
You're gonna let me start off.
Go
All
right ahead.
all right. Well, I mean, in my life, trucking is it's great. It's a great for me. Growing up, I always saw those big trucks on the road. I grew up in a real small town, so there wasn't much to do. But of course, there was a highway that went through town, and there was always those big trucks, and flatbed, all that. I never thought I could do that, but here I am now, and especially with one of the best companies to work for, and trucking it's been really great for me. I mean, It's completely changed my life. But I love it because, I get to choose my days off. It's a break from the 9 to 5. And, I tried the local thing. That's different. I kind of saw myself not being home very much, believe it or not, because they keep you.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I saw my home less because all I had time to do was shower and go back to work. Sleep, shower, go back to work. At least with over the road, I could work up to a month, sometimes 2, take a week, 2 off, all at the same time. I get to see my family, my friends, do what I want to do, and it's been a really great. It's been a really great trade for me to get into. So
That's awesome. So I have to backtrack a little bit and ask, how small is a small town?
Well, it was small, Bentonville, Arkansas.
Okay.
So the home office of Walmart is up there, if you didn't know, and Walmart's really changed the town. It's grown. It's grown a lot now.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was when I was growing up, but.
So
yeah.
do you remember the population from when you were a kid?
Oh, it was.
I'm a small town girl too, so.
It wasn't super small, but where I lived, I wasn't in like the. It's not a city, but I would call it.
A village?
Right, something like that. But yeah, it was like 50,000, something like that.
That is not a small town.
Well,
girl.
I mean, compared to like, living in the suburbs of Chicago or something like that, where there's millions of people.
Sure.
I see it being a little bit smaller. But
So I was born and raised here in Minnesota,
okay.
about an hour and a half south of here in a small town by the name of Silver Lake. Putting them on the map right now.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
When I was growing up, it was just over 700 people.
Oh, wow.
Super
okay.
small.
All right. Well,
Yeah, everybody knows everybody,
Right.
right? You know where everybody lives. The
Right.
Sunday drives, riding with my dad out in the countryside, he'd be like, "Oh, look, there's Rozeski. He's out in the field."
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always fun whenever, you're riding with your parents and they're like, oh, well, I worked on that project and I did this, I did that. And they can tell you
Yeah.
every little bit of history that no longer exists. And,
Yeah.
Well, it's also cool to run into people like, oh, I know that person. I'll go say hi. If you live in a smaller area, that's kind of what I want to move. I want to move away from where I'm at now, and when I go to buy a house eventually, I want to move back to that family kind of atmosphere, because the city life, it's just it's different.
Yeah.
No one knows your neighbor anymore. It's not like it used to be.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think about growing up, though, like, I'm not so sure I really enjoyed growing up in such a small town.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everything. And, not that I was a horrible person by any means, but when you're young, messing around, right, news travels fast, and everybody knows, that.
Yeah.
You can't
Whatever,
get into trouble and
yeah.
get away with it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
hard
you
to get
can't.
away with
Everybody
it.
knows.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, for me, getting into trucking, I never really saw myself getting into trucking, to be honest. I grew up in a much smaller town than he did, the name of Eclectic, Alabama. About a couple thousand for the population. A little bit of a smaller high school, especially for the area. But, I did really well there. It's one of the best schools in the whole counties, the surrounding counties. We did some of the best in academics, and I was a musician. So
What'd you play?
Trombone was my primary, but I was a all brass player.
Okay.
So, tried to really expand on that. And then I moved down to Troy to go to college, and I actually was pursuing a degree in music industry to do concert productions, audio engineering, a lot of the back end, do the live performances at the concerts, which is really fun. Yeah. But I never did, complete my degree. And I was just kind of lost there for a little while, and I got into the casino industry. I had previously working in food for so long, and I moved to New Orleans, became a table game supervisor, did that for 3 years, moving from New Orleans up to Denver, and just due to unforeseen circumstances, I lost my job. And at that point, I just really didn't know what else to do. I wanted to move back home. My dad's health was failing, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to apply to be a truck driver. I mean, I thought about it in the past. I was like, I think that's going to be the most sustainable, profit-making job in the area, because Alabama, we don't have a high income. So I applied there, went to driving school, and started on. And ever since then, I pulled myself out of debt, and I saw my life improving so much better just having that opportunity. And at this point, it's like, okay, maybe I might retire doing this. I would like to still get my degree, but at the same time, it's like I need to take care of my financials and get my life set up before I start making those big changes. I want to be in a better position than I was before.
Yeah, for sure. Right. That's a great story.
Right.
I think we can all say we've been there a time or two where, you get into something thinking this is what you want to do and it doesn't go as planned. And then you
Right.
find yourself like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? And what do I want to be when I grow up? And some days
Yeah.
I still ask that question.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So tell me, I want to know, like, when you're out there, how do you keep it fun? A lot of times, unless you have a passenger or a pet, I'm sure helps, but it's just you, and they're long days when you're working.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep yourself occupied? And
I got, I was telling someone about it earlier. I got English bulldog, and he used to be a show
that's
dog.
awesome.
And well, he retired from his show days. He's getting a little older now, but he when I have bad days and stuff, I look over at him and he's just chilling out in the passenger seat with me, and
Life is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life is good. Like, how can I be sad when I got a face like that looking at me?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but between that and then you said how to make it fun out there. Sometimes I find myself out on job sites and stuff, and it'll be not just me but a few other drivers, and I bring a propane grill, and I keep it in my tarp box. I put my tarps up on the trailer so I got more space for that stuff.
Sure.
Because it happens actually quite a bit, but we'll have like cookouts with everyone, and that's one of the ways that we can be social, especially if we're there overnight. We can go to the store, get stuff, come back, hang out, have fun, be social. It's a lot of fun.
A sense of community.
Yeah.
Family.
It's really cool to talk to others like him that, know about trucking and drive the truck, and, to not feel so alone. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it can be hard out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what's your dog's name?
My dog's name, his name is Junior.
Junior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you and Junior ever look for when you're stopping for a break, or whether it be just a 10 or a reset? Do you look for dog parts and try to get them out and
Well, Junior, that guy right there, he's kind of I can't even get him to go on walks. I mean, he's
over it.
No, he's in perfect health. The one thing he cares about is his food. So when I go over at the end of the day, I'm like, Junior, you hungry? And then all of a sudden, I see his face light up. He'll jump up out of the seat and he'll be running around and stuff. And that's what gets him excited. But other than that, he doesn't really, I get him out of the truck, and it also gets me out of the truck,
Yeah.
which is really good for me. It kind of slows me down too, because in trucking, you're always on a time crunch, but I try to keep it healthy,
Sure.
because especially, just sitting there all the time, it's really important to get out, exercise, do all that, take care of yourself out there on the road. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So food makes me perk up too when people start talking about food. I'm all about it. I love food. I'll tell you what.
There's some good food out there on the road.
There really is.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, you're up. What do you do for fun? How do you not get inside your own head on tough days?
For the most part, it's easier for me because I'm a rather introverted person. I've kind of always been that loner. Like, I like to stay at home, just do my own thing. I mean, obviously you have gaming buddies or friends that you call, talk to, and all that. But, the longer that you're on the road, especially in this career, like you said, it can be very lonely. Whenever you don't interact, you don't go in the truck stops. And, COVID just really hammered that home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And not having that social interaction. So usually throughout the days, I'm always calling my friends. Like, I have a couple of truck driver buddies that I call, and we don't even have to talk about anything important. It's like, oh yeah, this crazy car is doing something stupid. Like, those are the kind of things you just randomly talk about, and having just that social interaction, it makes things easier. And of course, at the end of the day, it's nice to be able to sit down and watch TV or, play games, things like that, because I do like to play games every now and then. So I think that just really helps keep my mind in that sane space that I need to be in to, get up the next day and keep going.
Do it all over again.
We're lucky,
for sure.
though, compared to, the older guys. I talked to them, and before
yes.
cell phones, stuff like that, before even GPS, I don't know how those guys did that. Using payphones, quarters, and stuff.
And an atlas.
Dealing with all that.
Yes.
Yeah, but
The truck stop books.
Yeah, but with the, in 2024, we're so lucky that we have, the internet, and we can FaceTime our loved ones. Like I have a wife at home and get to FaceTime her. So going back to how to keep my mental health, all that in check. To talk to her, it definitely helps me out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nothing beats getting that first hug. When I've been
For
gone
sure.
for like a month or two, but yeah, it definitely is a little bit easier in that sense in today's world.
So how would you guys say it is for the people that are back home waiting for you to come back? What's it like for them? How
My
do they
wife
do
loves it. She needs a break.
And she'll be waiting for you to go out on the road.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm always I'm a really busy person. I like to get stuff done. So when I'm when I get home, it's like I got a list, because I've been in the truck, and he probably knows what I'm talking about. You got a home list of what you wrote out, what you got to do when you're home. Dude, I'll stack that thing to like 5 pages long. So when I'm home, I'll be doing like all this stuff. So by the time like it's time for me to go, my wife's like, thank God I can go back to sleep, because she's a vet tech.
Okay.
She's working
Nice.
on being a full-time veterinarian. She's going to school for it, all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for her.
But between that and everything else, she's wore out. She's ready for me to go. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't need you coming home and
Yeah,
setting
yeah.
another pace
Yeah.
and keep up with me,
Yeah.
honey.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's a lot easier for me, I guess. I mean, I don't have a wife, no girlfriend, no kids. So, just having that solitary existence. I mean, I do go home to see my dad and some other family members like my grandmother and things like that. But beyond that, I don't really have that close attachments like he does, as far as like, hey, you need to get home and spend some time with the family, because that would definitely be the hardest part of trucking, would be to spend so much time away from your kids and your wife, just not having that physical connection anymore.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the hardest part about it is getting back in that truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to come
Yeah.
out of the house. And
Yeah.
I struggle with that now. I can only imagine if I had a family,
Yeah. Like,
you take that extra day or two, it's like, man, I really just don't want to get going
yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I haven't bought a house yet, but I rent a house. And, before I started all this, my trucking journey, I didn't have any of that. I was also kind of a kid. I'm only 26, so, but.
I would have never guessed so young.
Right. Under the hat, it shows. Yeah. But, no, it's very hard to say goodbye, because she's sitting there in the driveway. But, all the things that me and her have accomplished together, I look back on that while I'm leaving the house, driving away. I see my nice house. I see my nice cars. I see Junior in the passenger seat. And, those are the kind of things at the end of the day that really keep me going, to keep trying to go up to, I want to get to heavy haul. That's my plan. So.
You
Yeah.
came to the right place.
Yeah, I
We
just
got
passed.
a career path for
Yeah,
that.
I just
That's
passed
right.
my Class 2 test. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more step in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, any desire to move into wind and blades, get a taste of that before heavy haul, or?
Well, I'm not quite sure about it, but he was talking to me earlier before. He's thinking about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just signed a TAP program for a new Freightliner, so just getting into that, it's like I am Class 1 now, and the whole reason I came to ATS to begin with was because I was like, hey, I want to go haul the big windmill blades that I see rolling down the road all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And through some minor miscommunications, I thought that I was going to be able to go directly into it. I didn't realize, oh no, you have to start at the bottom, work your way up. But obviously I'm right there knocking on the door. Being class 1, it's like I'm just so close, but I don't want to go straight to heavy haul because obviously just signing this truck, I mean, it's not a 4-axle truck, it's only a 3. So, you start somewhere, but
For sure.
Just getting that experience and, doing what I set out to do all those years ago, it's all about accomplishments these days and reaching your achievements.
Yeah.
Whenever you set out that goal, you want to reach it to say, hey, you know what? I did what I set out to do. I can feel good about myself and set the next goal up and keep moving forward.
Amen.
ATS too. I mean, you don't have to get into heavy haul to make money.
No.
Like here at ATS, man, there's so many opportunities. Like me, I could just stay at a class 2 driver and be fine. Like I'm already like, when I got the call for ATS, I felt like I hit the jackpot. Because as a kid, like I saw their trucks on the road, and I never thought in a million years that I could be doing that, because all the specialized trailers, things like that. But yeah, as far for me, wind, I'd consider it, but they're pretty long.
They are.
I think I'd be a better fit for the heavy haul side of things, but they do some pretty crazy super loads, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Police escorts, all that. That you really got to have some experience to.
Well, you can look at wind as a stepping stone. You haul the really long stuff, and then you move to the really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get to the super lows, and you just combine them all together and move the 1,000,000-pound load that's going through Ohio. Where they're having to shut everything down.
Right.
I would love to be on that contract.
I talked to a heavy haul guy. I went through orientation with a heavy haul guy. His name was Anthony, and he was up at level 17, highest you could get. He had to leave for home stuff, I don't know, but he came back, and he was saying on his permits he's got a bucket truck has to follow him, which is an electrical truck. So basically they take that bucket up in the air and they hold power lines.
They have to raise the power lines.
Yeah, and that's on their permit.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like you have police escorts, you have your regular pilot cars, and then you have them. I mean, that's a lot of headache, but I mean, it pays out. It pays off, that's for sure.
There's a lot of pieces that go into it, and I'm definitely not the expert. Right. There's also a ton of people in the office, too, trying to coordinate everything and make sure that every driver has exactly what they need before they get there. And
they're back there freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty level-headed, but I couldn't imagine being in a truck like that. You got like 200 feet behind you.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, hopefully one day I can make it there.
Well, just think of the guys that are actually standing on the trailer while you're moving too, because they're up there spotting to make sure you're clear and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're not going that fast because of how heavy it is, but just think, 2 puller trucks, a couple pusher trucks.
I don't even know whether to call that trucking anymore at that point. That's like
it's more like walking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole different game right there.
Yeah.
That's intense.
So when I first started with ATS, I started out as a fleet manager, and I used to tell my guys, you made the comment about like you could stay where you're at right now and be fine, right?
Yeah.
I always told my guys, look, try the next step. Try it. If you decide it's not for you, that's okay too. Take a step back or take a different step.
Yeah.
But man, I hate to see anybody shy away from giving something a try. You never know what you might end up loving.
And you might end up regretting it down the road. Like, man, I should have been doing that.
As long as you can handle it, because I won't lie. When I got my first oversized load, it was only like 9 feet wide. The trailer's 8 feet, but I remember white knuckling that steering wheel like, oh my God.
It feels like you are line to line.
Yeah, now it's nothing anymore, but I wouldn't say that I'm comfortable doing it. You never want to get too comfortable. Yeah. You always kind of want to be on the edge of your seat, but you want to be able to handle it emotionally, mentally. Don't get yourself in a rut out there.
For sure. I think the best drivers are the ones who can admit when they're nervous or scared, right?
Yeah.
I think it's healthy to be a little uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the driver that says, you know what, I'm not comfortable doing this.
Yeah,
it's okay to say, no, I shouldn't. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it's respecting the load and respecting
Absolutely.
the abilities. I mean,
Right.
there's even loads that I haul even now. Like you get into class 2s where it's so close to class 1, but it doesn't require an escort. Like you have that escort, those pilot cars, you kind of relax a little bit. It's like you have someone looking out on your rear to, make sure that you're not going to have as much potentially happen to you. Not saying that it can't.
Exactly.
But whenever you're out there by yourself and you can't see as well as you want to, like just that anxiety level, it goes up. So
For sure.
that's whenever you definitely need to just stop and just take that break and
Yep.
just cool off a little bit.
Exactly.
Walk around a little bit.
What he's talking about, I felt like it was harder to kind of start than it is where I'm at now, because when you start out getting into oversize, you don't have those escorts and you are alone. And going through like Dallas, Houston, there's these loops in those cities, and they don't give you, if you're not that wide, they don't give you a permitted route. They'll give you the permit, but it's a blanketed permit, and they tried to tell you, follow your best. You have to figure it out on your own, your route. And so starting out is actually kind of harder. But when you get, isn't it?
Like that first load or two, it's a bit rough. But for me, like once I started getting up there, and like I think once I hit class 2, I started realizing it's like, you know what, these class 3s, my mirrors are sticking out further than the load is.
Yeah.
So it like that immediately just kind of alleviated a lot of concern. It's like, well, if I wasn't going to hit them with my mirrors, then I'm not going to hit them with my load unless someone starts swinging their trailers or something.
Right.
But, just once you start getting those realizations set in to like, okay, this is what I'm looking for in these loads, and in order to keep it safe, then to me, it just makes things go so much smoother. And it takes a lot of stress off of you.
Yeah.
And now I'll haul class 3s like they're nothing. It's like, okay, it's just another day. Let's get down the road.
Yeah. It's cool to be that comfortable too when you get to that level, when you're, and you get that experience and you get paid more, and it's like you're doing what you were doing before, except you're getting paid more because you're at a higher level.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing to you, and you're getting more money. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you guys trip plan differently when you're under an OD load? Like, I get you're still checking down your route, right? Which way are you going? And probably mapping it out forwards and backwards, right? Make sure you come up with the same route. But what about like breaks and just whether required break or not? How do you kind of plan those out so you get the breaks you need if you're white knuckling it? It's not like when you're under an OD load, it's not like you can just pull off at the next exit and
right, especially when they throw you on
the
back roads of some crazy state and there's nothing for miles. Like there's nowhere to pull over. That does present a bit of a challenge. But the way I trip plan is I start at the end. So once I start at the end, I get my destination pulled in, and then I work my way back from the permits. So I'm planning in each of my turns to make sure that my truck GPS is matched up with my permits. So that way, that's one less thing I have to worry about. I'm not sitting here worried about, okay, well, in 1.5 miles, I got this turn coming up that I need to make and, make sure I'm good to go. No, my truck GPS is doing all that work for me. And that right there, it immediately takes so much stress off me, because I've actually had an oversized load before where I had the permit so late, I didn't have time to sit there and plan out those turns.
Yeah.
So I'm having to run with that paper in like LA traffic, for instance, going through LA traffic, like that alone, like even if you weren't oversized, that's stressful
I know
enough.
exactly what he's talking about. Yeah.
So, whenever I start at the end and I start planning in those turns, it's like, okay, well, then I start looking at the mileage. Okay, I know in so many miles I'm going to need to take a break. And then, so whenever, in just even regular trips, not even OD, I know, okay, well, 6 hours from now, that's my second stopping point. That's probably where I'm going to take my 30. And then 3 hours from now, that's my first stop, the load check. And just working my way back. And while I'm doing that also, I'm also on there checking my fuel and making sure, okay, well, this is the cheapest fuel, so I need to, buy
Align
this
that
many
too.
gallons there. I mean, it gets down to a science, but whenever you do it so much, it becomes second nature to where you're not thinking about all this in such detail. You don't need that checklist. It's all going through your head, it's all at once.
So is that something that just kind of happened organically? Did you learn it from somebody, or it's, mistakes or errors along the way, or running into different challenges where you kind of thought, okay, I need to adjust how I'm doing this?
Yeah, I think it was more organic for me. I never really had anyone fully trip plan for me like that. Obviously, I started off with another company. Swift was my first carrier, and they plan out your fuel route for you. So when you get that load, they're like, okay, well, this is your stop for your fuel. You get this many gallons, and it even cuts the pump off at that many gallons. You can't bypass it. So you don't get that choice in where you're stopping for fuel, but you get to choose everything else.
Wow.
So when I moved into lease purchase with them, they're like, well, you know what? Now you get to do all this by yourself.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to start looking at the fuel route. So I started looking at fuel prices. And a lot of our apps like Loves, TA, and all that, they actually have that routing capability. And it says, okay, this is the route that's the fastest for you. Here's all the truck stops along that route. And that's how I started looking at the fuel prices. So just being that mathematical minded, as we were talking about earlier, that it tends to make it a bit easier for me, because from an accounting standpoint, you can say, okay, this is what I need to do in order to maximize my money.
Yeah.
I might only be saving $10 a trip, but $10 a day, it
Yeah.
adds up over 365
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking for favorite story being out on the road. Craziest thing you've ever seen. Maybe the funnest load you've ever hauled. Whatever. It could be anything. But what's your story? What comes to mind? If you can share it.
Oh, man. Everyone's looking at me.
I was going to let you go first.
Yeah, I probably need
It
a
sounded
minute to
like
think
you had
about that
something
one.
on your mind, like you were just ready to say something. So
My favorite story from the road. If I have to keep it PG. Well, I know one specifically on that was my doing. Okay, I'll start. I never hauled freight with an RGN before. One time. And this was when I was very new, my first year with ATS. They gave me an RGN. I went to the shipper, went over the hump of the railroad. I know what you're thinking. I didn't get stuck.
I was thinking it too.
I got loaded, right? But compared to a flatbed and a step deck, you have this rub rail where you can, because the load had to be tarped on an RGN. And you have all these bungee cords. So I tarped the load, and instead of putting the bungee cords like in the rub rail like a flatbed, I
you went underneath it.
I went underneath the
Oh,
RGN,
no.
right? And I didn't put it together, so I got everything set up, and I went to go leave this place. I'm not gonna lie. My tarp job looked like a piece of chewed up bubble gum when I left, but that's okay, because what happened next, I got to fix it a little bit.
Yeah.
I went up over the railroad tracks, not thinking I was going to scrape, because when the RGN is unloaded, there's no weight on it. So it's up about like 8 inches.
Depending how much, yeah.
So when I left, we were at about like 4 inches. So this time, I came up to that four-way stop. It was a four-way stop. And I go over that hump when the light turns green. I hear... And I look back in my rearview mirror, and my bungee cords just start flying off like rubber bands.
Man, that sucks so bad.
And I'm like, everyone's laughing at me, because they're in their car just laughing, After I make the turn, luckily I didn't lose the tarp, but I managed to stop and I managed to fix it. But Yeah, that was just lack
Hard
of experience.
lesson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a huge learning curve when you get to an RGN.
Do you still go over railroad tracks with RGNs?
Oh yeah, you have to
All the
sometimes.
time.
So
Yeah.
do you, what do you do to ensure you can clear them before you
Well,
meet them?
don't put your bungee cords under the RGN.
Yeah, that'd be a good start. I mean, for me, like, you get so good at gauging them after a while. Like, you start looking at the inclines and declines, and you know, okay, well, that hump's just too steep for me to make it. I mean, I actually picked up a while back in Louisiana with the air products load, and everywhere along that way, it was all hump railroad crossings, every one of them.
You get some like that.
Yeah, and going in there, I went the way that my truck GPS said, and went over the railroad crossing, and empty I scraped. And I was like, oh, please don't get stuck. Please don't get stuck. So once we got down there, and while I'm waiting to get loaded, it just so happened it was about a 10-hour load time, I started walking down the railroad tracks, and I'm like, which one's got the least of an incline so I know I can make it out of there? I ended up walking like 3 blocks just to, double check and make sure. So
Yeah, I think another thing I hear a lot of guys do, like it goes back to trip planning, right? And even if you're using Google Maps or whatever your map source is, and you're plotting your route, you're looking for those railroad crossings and, is it something you can clear, and are there signs posting,
It's also just getting that experience, because, just like me, when you first start out, you could look at a turn with new eyes, not having that experience, and you weren't able to tell whether you can make that turn or not.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You learn, like now I can look at railroads and stuff, and I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I find another way to get to that
all
destination.
because of some bungees?
Junior didn't like those bungees going up there.
I bet not.
No, he was
Yeah.
barking like crazy.
it's okay. There's a
you live and you learn. It's just part of the job. I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone else. But for me, it was real hard because before all this, I was just a kid. I was a shelf stocker for Walmart and got into truck driving and went into flatbed and now into specialized and
Yeah.
it's all about it's just learning curve. So.
Yeah, and talking about the railroads, like there's actually a railroad by my house that it's got a bit of a hump to it. So if I'm in an RGN or a step deck, I won't take my trailer home. I'll drop everything and I'll go. But if I'm in a flat, it's like, okay, I know I can make this because I've gotten dry vans through there before. So I wasn't as worried about that. But even a low pro step, like at that point, I'm like, this is too much of a hump. I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is get stuck there with those trains flying through at 60 plus miles an hour.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right, Daniel. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Tell us something good.
Come on.
Well, I
We
mean,
wanna hear it.
you have so many crazy things happen. I mean, a lot of fun loads that occur. I mean, I think my favorite load so far was just hauling military vehicles going out to California. I hauled Bass Pro Shop signs for a new Bass Pro Shop that was being built in California.
That's cool.
I actually was able to get a good shot on my drone to submit for the picture contest and everything. So I was like, that'll be fun. But as far as like the craziness that happens, I mean, we see so much every day. Like just the absolute stupidity that occurs in front of us, by us, around us. And I mean, sometimes it's even the drivers that make the mistakes. But I mean, I was going to Houston a while back, and it was raining outside. I just got done delivering a load, was heading to the terminal, and right before, I think it's US 60 or US 90, whatever comes off of I-10 and goes up to get up to Channelview, right before that exit, I noticed this car in front of me, and I was like, he just looks like he's about to do something just really crazy. So I'm keeping my following distance like I'm supposed to, and I just start backing off a little bit because there's this car and then a truck right next to him. Well, the car gets over to the left while the lane splits, and the truck keeps going. Well, right before the concrete barrier, the car decides he's going to come right over and hits the end of the truck, and it puts the car into the barrier And at this point, like I said, it's raining. I've only got about 3.5 seconds following distance. Even with me, getting ready to slow down, I mean, it's hit the brakes while you can, but I got cars behind me.
Yeah.
There are cars beside me. I can't jump lanes.
And what you're saying, you kind of saw this before it happened.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
just
I
that
see stuff like that
foresight.
all
It's
the
like
time.
I know it can happen. You
Yeah.
don't think it's going to happen,
Yeah.
but it will happen.
Going back to experience too, you can see stuff before it happens.
Sure, you're watching it unfold.
Yeah, exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So this car ended up, even though the car moved into the truck, right?
Yeah. So
The car pitted itself and not the truck.
yeah, it pitted itself. The truck was able to keep going and stay in its lane, but the car slammed into the barrier. And thankfully for the car driver, the barrier pushed him back into the right-hand lane because it was a dual turn lane. If it wouldn't have done that, he would have died. Because by the time I got stopped, I was past his car. I mean, I hit all of his debris that was laying in the middle of the road. And then obviously once we got stopped, pulled out, go check on everyone. And come to find out, I talked to the cops because, following the accident reports, they're like, yeah, the car said that the other guy cut him off. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I was like, let me introduce you to lytics.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's worse with a flatbed too, because trucks, they can't stop fast, I would say, but we can stop pretty quick if we need to. But with flatbed, you don't want to stop too fast because
Right.
we
Yeah.
have stuff that can shift, and then it could, come
right through
straight
the cab.
over us, and then So
Absolutely.
you got to be even more,
And just imagine if, you're overweight. And
Yeah. Yeah.
at that
then-
point, like, you're
yeah.
really not stopping on a
Yeah.
dime.
You really feel that too when you're overweight. for
Oh,
The
yeah.
weight pushing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like going down a mountain, when cars get in front of you and you're going down a mountain, they're not really thinking about it. Like it acts like a rocket ship
Yeah.
with 80,000 pounds or more. It's we can't just stop.
Right.
We got 18 full wheels. It's a lot more than 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I guess one other crazy story too. I was home for Thanksgiving, and we do a camp out every Thanksgiving, to go hunting and stuff like that. Well, I'm traveling down I-65 in Alabama, not far from my house actually. And I get on the interstate and I start noticing, all these cars are stopped. So we pull up there and come to find out there's an RV caught on fire. And, the first thought is, well, they couldn't have smoked the brakes because while it is a little hilly in Alabama, nothing would have caused the brakes to overheat like that. But we come to find out that the woman was cooking a turkey in the back, and the turkey caught on fire
Dude.
while they were driving down the road.
Oh my gosh.
dude,
That's like
yeah.
that's
we
straight
were
out of
sitting there
Christmas
for
Vacation.
hours.
Yeah, it is.
They ended up having to get like 2 or 3 fire trucks with water because the first one, they put it out and they just caught right back up,
Yeah.
bigger than ever. So,
You never know what you're going to see.
yeah.
Every day is a new challenge. Every day you see something new.
I think I
crazy.
myself have changed my habits a lot too since I started at ATS. And I've been in the industry a very long time, like my entire adult life. But since coming to ATS, I think our safety team and our safety culture here is a lot different than any other place I've experienced,
Yeah.
which isn't a ton, but there have been some, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just so different. I've learned about, 10 a second of following distance for every 10 miles per hour that you're traveling.
Yeah.
Well, for a passenger vehicle, you don't need all that, but
No.
go out there on your drive home and try following at 6 seconds when you're driving 60 miles an hour. That's hard to maintain for
Yeah.
a passenger vehicle, but
Oh, yeah.
it gives you a really good grasp on how attentive you guys really need to be to ensure you're giving yourself the space you need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It could take 1 second.
Yeah,
Not looking
it-
down.
yeah.
So many
Absolutely.
things can happen. It's,
Yeah.
I think about too, like on interstate or any 4-lane divided or greater. If I am going around a semi, if I'm in the left lane with passing traffic, I will not sit on the side of you. I will stay, that couple seconds back,
Yeah.
but to your left, and wait for it to clear before I proceed.
Yeah.
Like I will not sit on the side.
And I've always been a real big advocate, especially since you get into trucking. It's like It's something that we need to expose more kids to at a younger age. Like,
Absolutely.
have like at least a week minimum of just nothing but, exposure to 18-wheelers. Like, this is what we actually go through. This is what you need to expect. So while, yes, it's not going to change everyone's, but even if we could change 30 to 50% of the younger generation that doesn't know how to drive properly, I mean, it would severely reduce the amount of accidents that we experience just through complete inattentiveness or I wouldn't even say idiocy, ignorance, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
They just don't know. I have a new driver. My eldest just turned 17. And it's brutal. Like, it is so hard to watch her get into her car and leave. But my kids are absolutely exposed to it. Like, when they're riding with me, I'm talking about why I'm not sitting on the side of you, why I'm allowing you to merge in front of me, why I'm slowing down to let you in. Just talking about, like, you have to realize they can't stop as quickly as we can. You have to realize that if you get into a situation, you are not going to win with that guy,
Yeah. Everyone's so accustomed to getting in their car and doing their regular commute, but that's one of the most dangerous things in the United States that we do is drive. A lot of people don't really understand that. I mean, things can happen so quick. It's just it's getting crazier out there day by day. It really is.
I think too, like, you take for granted how many times you've gone to the store or have gone to work and everything was just fine. Right? It's that whole complacency thing.
Yeah, and I also don't think that a lot of the passenger vehicles or just regular people in general realize that, they think, oh, well, I'm going to do this stupid stuff and, because it serves me best. I can get by with it and get there a little bit faster. But they don't realize that they're putting our jobs and our livelihoods in danger because while, yes, they might be the ones at fault, we get blamed for it. Or we have to be the one to fix their mistakes by, flipping our truck or putting it in the ditch just to save those few lives that we can. And, we always say if you're going to be in a trucking profession, you should not get behind the wheel of a truck if you're not ready to lay down your life to save all those other people. And I think that's...
And you see that all the time on the news. Truck driver hits a bridge to save family, when they lose their brakes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
And like Colorado, like that incident that happened a few years ago, that infuriated so many drivers that he wasn't willing to do what was necessary and killed all those people needlessly.
He shouldn't have been in a truck.
Yeah, I think you guys have a heavy responsibility, and that really doesn't do justice what you guys take on every day. You're making thousands of decisions every day. You're behind the wheel, and driving in a manner that protects lives is it's a big responsibility. It's a heavy weight.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what do you think? Lighten it up a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Should we talk some pie?
Oh, you gotta talk pie.
I love pie.
Yeah, sure.
I do.
What makes a pie a pie?
I mean, I want to say the crust, but I mean, cheesecake has crust, and I still think cheesecake should be considered a crust, and a pie, and not a cake. I mean, I get it. You bake it, it rises. I mean, maybe it's just the whole rising capability of it, but it's just there's so many things that are into the theory behind it. But why is a tomato considered fruit and not vegetable? So I think it kind of falls under the same category.
I think that's a great question. And I got a little hung up on your, maybe it's the crust. And I'm trying to think, like, what kind of pie does not have a traditional pie crust that's still referred to as a pie, and I couldn't come up with one.
Yeah, because, I mean, even, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, they all have the crust on the bottom, but then again, so does cheesecake.
Yeah, but cheesecake, it's a graham cracker crust, right? It's not like a pie
but
crust.
You could still do a graham cracker crust with a pecan pie. I mean, sweeten it up even more.
Do people do that?
I mean,
have you ever had
we're
one?
from the South. I mean, we try everything at least once. I mean,
I don't know what it is, but cheesecake's still my favorite.
I love cheesecake so
absolutely
much.
love cheesecake.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I'm a huge pecan pie fan too.
I love key lime pie.
Do you?
I absolutely love it.
Oh my gosh, small doses. Like I could probably have like a couple tablespoons, but that's where I'd have to draw the line.
If
It gets to
it's-
be too much for me.
I mean, you get in that depression day, you just go buy that Marie calendars, bring it home, just eat the whole tin.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like, man, I'm going to hate myself tomorrow for this, but it's
hard
you know,
to stop
good going
yourself.
down.
Yeah, for sure. I probably need a gallon of milk to go along with it though.
Right.
it's
I
my-
gotta have milk with my sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So no cake. What's your favorite pie?
My favorite pie, that's kind of hard for me. I'm not really a pie guy.
No?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Not even a little bit?
Not really.
Like what
no.
about like
I'm
a
pretty picky.
Lemon meringue pie or
Yeah.
What about like a
lemon's good, yeah.
raisin pie?
No.
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 Have you guys ever gotten pie from the truck stop down the road?
Not
The Travel
yet.
Plaza?
No.
Oh, that
and
Petro
I'm,
down
I'm
there.
starting a diet too, so you know, this is going to be my last
Tomorrow?
Oh,
pie.
you gotta get
Yeah.
one.
Tomorrow the diet starts. Do you got time today to
I mean, I've been spending enough money while I've been up here getting the new truck, but I mean, just got the fridge set up, so starting the carnivore diet, so all carbs go out the window.
Yeah.
I've already gave
Yeah.
up, you know, my caffeinated beverages, so I haven't had a soda since December. So that's
good for you?
That's difficult.
That's
Yeah.
that's good. It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
I used to be a huge Pepsi drinker,
Yeah.
like probably a 12 pack a day. I'm not even kidding.
They make sodas like have you heard of lollipop sodas?
no,
No,
but that sounds
it's-
horrible.
It's all well, no, it's natural ingredients. They have the regular flavors like root beer, you know, Dr. Pepper. It's called something else, but it's all natural and good for you. Ingredients, so it actually helps digestion, stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's
So
a
what's
healthy
with the name
alternative.
behind it?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they
They're
have
just trying to lure me in.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it as a gateway drink for me.
Yeah.
Like, you get that taste of that root
Kinda.
beer, and it's like, man, I got to go have a real root beer now.
Yeah.
Kinda. But I mean, if you want it, I mean,
Yeah,
I
well.
drink those every once in a while.
I mean, I better stick to what I'm doing. It's hard enough getting there, and they're like, "Oh, well, do you want Coke or Pepsi today?"
Water.
What about sweet tea?
It's like, I'll drink sweet tea right now, but eventually I'm going to cut that out too to
Yeah.
get rid of as much sugar as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
So what about
It's hard to
using
do.
honey, like something more natural?
I use honey all the
I
time.
mean, that could definitely be within the diet's parameters. It's one of those things. I'm still at that new stage. Like I did it for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, I lost 10 pounds, and just
Wow.
the energy like that I got just from doing it that first week was absolutely amazing. Like
That's awesome.
They always describe it as just like the fog is lifted from your brain.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, you're cutting out that starches. All you're eating is
Yeah.
meat, protein, cheese, and eggs. You know.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But a lot of people have had a lot of good success with it. We have several drivers here that, you know, they've lost 80, 100 pounds doing this. So I figured, you know, let's give it a shot and just see because, you know, having this
Can't
new
hurt.
truck, why
it's
not?
hard to do too
Yeah.
with our job. I mean, we stay active a lot more in like van drivers, but still very hard to do.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you think about how much of your day. I mean, yeah, if you're loading and unloading and having to move securement around and
Yeah.
you know tarping, yeah, that's. I mean,
Yeah.
a hell of a workout for the day, right?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
But if
Yeah.
it's just a running day,
yeah.
you got 10 hours probably where there isn't a lot of exercise, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, the pie is in. I'm
They're
so
doling it
excited.
out.
Okay, so this raisin pie at the truck stop.
Okay.
I'm not like a raisin
This
pie
one.
fan necessarily.
Okay.
I think the truck stop pie was the first time I had actually tried a raisin pie. Somebody in the office had bought it, and I thought it was more of like a, I don't know, chocolate chip something or another.
Right.
It was kind of like whipped. I think it was like a sour cream raisin or something, which sounds horrible. But I tried it and pleasantly surprised, actually. I was like, oh, this ain't bad at all.
That's good.
The only thing that would have made it better would have been the chocolate chips.
Of course.
All right, so I'm guessing we got French silk here. I mean,
Nice, light, airy, sugary.
It's very chocolatey.
Yeah, it's not
It's
bad.
rich.
I mean, you can't go wrong with chocolate, but
I don't know that I could do a whole piece.
It's a lot of sugar, man.
that you have to get one of these on your tarpon days. So
Yeah,
you'll
right.
be able to work it all off.
I think this is one of those that I would need, like a glass of milk or a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I like coffee with
I
stuff
think
like
that'd be
that.
pretty good.
I could see it pairing really well with coffee. Mm-hmm. Get a nice black coffee to kind of mellow it out.
Do you pay for coffee at the truck stop? Or you make
No,
it?
I'm with Loves, man. Unlimited coffee and refills.
Oh, okay.
You know?
I got
Do you have to have one of their mugs?
no, you get their cup and you can refill it. But
You could have your own mug if you want.
yeah.
Thank you.
I got a Keurig and a French press in my in my truck.
Oh, you're bougie.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know nothing about that. I don't know, it was something on sale. So here's the deal. I love the color red. So I bought this coffee maker because it was red. And it didn't work the greatest after a very short amount of time. And my husband hated that it was red. So,
What, did he want it to be purple or?
no, I mean, he'd be like, let's get a stainless bun, right?
Yeah.
I don't really care. I just want something that looks fun
Yeah.
and works. I mean, it does have to
You
work.
gotta have coffee. I mean,
Right. I like coffee. So, anyway, one day he may or may not have broken it intentionally or unintentionally. I don't know. So I had to start shopping for another one, and I found like this old retro looking one I thought was really cool on Amazon. Ordered it, damaged in Missouri in transit, so I never got
Oh,
it.
man.
It was like a whole month of waiting too. Super sad. So I settled on I don't know if it was Target or Walmart clearance $15 coffee pot. It works
Yeah.
fine.
Well, I gotta tell you, if you've tried, I have an espresso machine at home, and that thing's nice. I go a little crazy with coffee, so
I guess.
I mean, I
Hey,
used to
I
work
like
at
good
Starbucks,
coffee.
so
Yeah.
I mean, I've had just about every coffee they made back then.
I'm a Caribou girl. I like Caribou.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have that, you know, where
The
I grew
option.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
It's kind of like you had Starbucks and Starbucks.
We actually had a local greasy spoon, and then there was a bar. It was called Sportsman's Bar. A lot of people would go there in the morning, like the coffee groups, right? The guys are sitting at a table playing cribbage, and those were the two places to get coffee from in my hometown.
I'm excited after this. I get to go up to Canada again, and I'm gonna go up and get some Tim Hortons coffee. It's good. It's really good. If you never tried it,
Speaking of
Canadian
good,
Starbucks.
Yeah.
the pecan.
Yeah, it's good. I like
That
it.
is so
I've
good.
actually never tried it. Never.
I've never had pecan pie.
Never. I'm like a really picky eater, so
Are you really?
yeah.
I mean, we always had homemade pecan pies whenever we had Thanksgiving and stuff at home. So
Same.
and nothing really beats homemade.
My great grandma Bessie always had. She had a big spread for food in general, but desserts and
Oh yeah.
pecan pie was always on the
You
on the
end up
menu.
with more desserts than you have entrees and food options.
Yeah.
That's how it is at my Thanksgiving because my wife's sister is a baker. So we'll end up with giant plate of cookies, a huge cake, like we're talking like wedding cake size cakes, like
Multi-tier.
beautiful, beautiful cakes. It's unbelievable. She's really good.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think? Which one's your favorite?
Now, I mean, well, the chocolate, and I love chocolate. I got to give it to pecan pie this time.
I'm with you there. It's
I-
so good.
I really thought I was going to try chocolate because I know what chocolate is, but I never tried pecan pie. It's actually, I like it more. It's good.
It was really good.
Yeah,
Big old glob of Cool Whip on there.
Oh yeah.
that's right.
That's how I eat it.
I mean, I don't even eat Cool Whip with pecan pie.
No, you don't need it for sure.
No. It's like you get enough of a sugar overload with it for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So I just want to thank you guys for coming today and hanging out with me. It was fun. I appreciate you taking the time to have
Thank you for having us.
great conversation.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Next episode, so look for it. We are going to be talking about favorite truck models. Okay. And probably get a survey out there and just see what you guys have to say, where it's at, and
Kenworth W900. That's it.
That's where it's at?
Yeah.
We
need those here.
You don't like the long-nosed Pete?
I mean, long-nosed Pete, they're cool.
Transformers.
Come on, man. You got to get that hood truck.
That's where I'm at.
Kenworth person.
Yeah.
That was the biggest disappointment coming here. It's like, I need my Kenworth. And yes, they're both PACCAR.
Yeah.
But I like the style of the Kenworth over the Pete's. I mean,
yeah.
But I cannot knock Pete's. They have made some amazing long-nosed trucks.
I got to be honest, I'm kind of more of an old school guy, but even like the new trucks they're coming out with, especially here at ATS, like black and chrome Pete's, those.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful.
I love the round can headlights.
Yeah. Or if you don't like looks so much on the inside of the Volvos and stuff, and the Cascadias now apparently, you got a table, you got a booth back there, so you can, fire up your French press, your kettle. And,
oh, here we go, your waffle maker.
Yeah. I got a coffee grinder. I got all that in there.
Poach some
I'm
eggs.
serious. Yeah.
But nothing beats that studio setup either. Like you get in that Kenworth and it's like you have those sunlights up top.
Yeah.
I mean, just open the curtains up, just lay back on the couch, and it's like I'm just chilling at the house.
Home.
That's kind of cool, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, visit our channels. Make sure you chime in on the survey. And then tune in next time and hear where everybody lands on their trucks.
All right.
All right. Thanks for coming, guys.